I think this lens is something really special. Well, like most other Chinese companies, this came on a really nice box. Inside we can see that they already included for me 3 filters. More on those filters later. There is also a guarantee card, a very lengthy instruction manual that comes in quite a few languages. So no matter where you are, Brightin Star got you covered. Then the lens itself that comes very nicely padded in this box, as you can see, and also wrapped in plastic to avoid moisture and dust. There is a metal cap that have the right amount of pressure, and you can see that front element looking beautiful. It's all made of metal, even the rear mount, and here you can see a little detail. You can see that you can screw the filters right inside on the back of the lens. Now let's take a closer look at this lens. First, let me get this box out of the way. You can see the padding, so good. Okay, so we have an f5.6 to f22. It is a very short turn to go from wide open to the most narrow aperture f22. The focus is also a little bit short, but for this kind of lens is understandable. Here on the back we can see the rear element and those diaphragm blades closing and open. Something very special with this lens is that you can mount filters. So a 9mm lens, it is something very special. But a 9mm lens that it can actually mount filters on the rear, well, that is actually even more special. And it's actually very easy to do. There it is. I got my ND32 mounted on the rear of the lens, so that assures for less lens flare and some other artifacts that it can be introduced by mounting a lens in the front, which is actually impossible on a 9mm lens. They included for me an ND16, ND32 and an eye filter. Now what they didn't include, and I think is such a shame, is a box that can carry all these lenses around. So I keep them in their original bags, plastic bags. I mean, you keep them from moist and dust, but I would like to have something a little bit more practical. So in case you haven't noticed, this is a very small lens considering that it's actually full frame. As you can see, this lens, it is actually pretty small. Just to give you a reference, I'm gonna be mounting this on my Canon EOS R6 Mark II. My copy of the lens, it is RF mount, but it comes available in quite a few different mounts, so make sure to check for that at the moment of your purchase. So here it is perfect balance really, because there is a little bit of weight, even so it's small, it packs some serious glass inside, and it makes very good balance even so it's short. It's very easy to handle, both the aperture, which by the way the aperture do have click, so it's more aimed at photographers, not filmmakers. And yeah, it have a very short turn, so like I say, very easy to handle. Just for your references, here is next to the 28 to 70 f2.8. As you can see, it's pretty small for the kind of lens that it is. But how about picture quality? This lens is incredibly wide, and I was expecting to be an absolute mess because it is actually somehow affordable, but yet it delivers something that not many other companies have been able to do, a fully rectilinear 9mm ultra crazy wide lens. And indeed, the lines comes very straight. How about sharpness? Well, it is very decently sharp at the center, wide open, and as you already know, this is an f5.6 maximum aperture, which means it's not very bright and it cannot open very wide. So you will expect it to be sharp from being wide open, and like I say, it's decently sharp at the center and it's spread out very evenly when it comes to the corners, these very stretched corners. It comes a little bit soft. When you stop it to f8 or f10, there are some minimal gradual improvements, but honestly this lens isn't razor sharp like some other Brightin Star lenses. Good in this, and something that really truly surprised me, is that vignetting is not that heavy. It is very well managed, so even so it's not crazy sharp, we are not having much vignetting, and I don't know how they did that, but I don't see any barrel distortion. I mean, it's insane that this lens doesn't have some barrel distortion. I mean, the picture looks very stretched on the corner. I mean, it's ridiculous, but this line comes straight. There aren't any distortion on the corners, on the sides, top, or anywhere. So how about lens flare? There is some ghosting and lens flare, and also a drop in contrast when shooting directly against some bright lights. It is very understandably so, considering the type of lens that it is. It is a 9mm lens, and that was absolutely to be expected, but I have seen much worse than this one, and not even close to the 9mm. I remember my Canon 17 to 35s2.8 was an absolute mess when it comes to lens flare and chromatic aberration. That's another thing that this lens have very well controlled. There is not much chromatic aberration, even wide open. So who is this lens for? Well, absolutely for landscape photographers, obviously, and also astrophotographers. I think those are the ones that are benefiting the most out of using this lens. And there is also a lot of possibilities for architecture photography, since if you want to shoot a small room and all you have is this lens, well, you're gonna make that room looks way bigger, and I believe that's what people do when they do architecture photography, making rooms look bigger so you can make more money and have better sales. I noticed something that maybe, I don't know, some people might do the same what I was doing. I haven't done on any of the pictures that you shown on this video, but you can apply crops. So it is so wide that you can get the shots and later on kind of clean it up, cut a little bit the corners, that way improving the quality of your picture, but also not having that crazy distorted, not distorted, but stretched lines going into the corner that can be a little bit overwhelming. So, you know, it's good to have the ultra wide. Sometimes you might use it as 9mm, and sometimes you can just apply a crop and get like, I don't know, a 10, a 12mm, which is still incredibly wide for a full frame camera. So there you have it, the Brightin Star 9mm f5.6 with filters, which is something very special. I mean, this lens overall, it is very special by all means. So, does it come recommended? I think so. Even so it's not razor sharp, it still delivers an image that you're not gonna get with any other lens. So yeah, comes recommended. There's gonna be a link in the description down below. Make sure to check that out. I'll see if I can include some discounts. And if you have liked this video, found it informational or entertaining, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and I'll see you on the next one. Adiós amigos.